All right, everybody. So today we're going to be working with a packet tracer for let's see if we can implement in this packet tracer. Let's see if I can bring this over here. And here we are. So we are going to be implementing dynamic host configuration protocol. Really important to be able to utilize that fantastic feature of dynamic host configuration protocol, so that way we don't have to manually assigning IP addresses to every device. So in this packet tracer we're going to be working with this topology right here. We have an addressing table that we're going to follow. Our objectives are: number one, to configure router as a DHCP server. Also configure DHCP relay, configure a router as a DHCP client. Alright, so our scenario: as the network technician for your company, you are tasked with configuring a Cisco router as a DHCP server to provide dynamic allocation of addresses to clients on the network. You are also required to configure the edge router. The edge router for us mean this one, right? So as a dynamic host configuration protocol or DHCP client, so we need to configure this bad boy here as a client and a server at the same time. All right, so that way it will receive an IP address from the internet service provider. Okay, so that's good. All right, now since the server is centralized, you will need to configure the two LANs routers to relay the DHCP traffic between the LANs and the router that is serving as the DHCP server. Okay, sounds good. Now we're going to begin with the edge router, right? Let's go ahead and bring this up. Okay. Configure terminal. And let's double check the addressing. Configure R2 to exclude the first 10 addresses from the R1 and R3 LANs. All other addresses should be available in the DHCP address pool. Okay. All right. So R3 needs to exclude the first 10 addresses. Right, so configure R2 to exclude the first 10 addresses from R1 and R3 LANs. First 10 addresses. Okay. So this is R1. This is the local address, the LAN address for that. And R2 is this one. R3 is this one right here. Okay. Very well. Okay. Alright, so the first thing is local address. The LAN 1, I will do router 1. Okay, so IP, dynamic host configuration protocol, exclude addresses. Now, since we're working with this area right here, okay, so those are the addresses, or the first 10 addresses that we need to exclude. So it's 192.168.10.1, and then 192.168.10.10. Okay, so those are the IP addresses that will be excluding here. Also, we need to do the same thing, but for LAN 3, which is this area right here, and that will be the same, but for LAN 3, which has the IP address of 30. It's basically the same command. 30 right here, 30 right here. Okay, so we have exclude those. Very well. Then we need to create a pool for each. Okay, so this is done right here. All right. Now for LAN 1, create a DHCP pool named R1 LAN. Okay, so IP DHCP pool. All right, now we are under the DHCP configuration. Okay, so we transition from global config to be specifically under DHCP config. All right, so we are here. The first thing I'd like to do is to specify the network. Network, it will be 192.168.10.0 and 255. That's a /24. Okay. All right, so that's for LAN 1. Okay, the default gateway and the IP address of the DNS server. All right, default router is going to be 192.168.10.1 if I'm not mistaken. All right, so let's see if that's true. So router 1. Right, perfect. The DNS server is this address right here. Just going to copy and paste it. All right. So DNS server right there. And what else we need to do? Default gateway and the IP address of the DNS server only. About domain name. Domain name. Aha. Okay, now we have everything we need. Okay, good. So we're pretty much done here for that pool. Okay. Now the other thing that we need to do is to create a pool for the R3 LAN. So it's basically the same thing. But for this area right here, obviously, it's gonna have some differences when it comes to IP addresses. So, but we still have to basically go through the same process. So, R3 LAN. Is that the name? R3 LAN. Yes, it is. Okay. And then configure the pool. I guess that we're gonna name it pool. What's the pool? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now network will be 192.168.30.0. Okay. All right. The default router dot 30.1. Okay. And same DNS server. Okay. And the domain name, cannot forget about that. I believe this is the most important thing. All right. Perfect. Okay. Now, what's next? All right. So we have to also make this as relay. Okay. And then uh, this over here, this router have to be also a client. So you can have an IP address assigned dynamically by the ISP. So since we're here already, let's see, this is the what? Okay, so let's see, router 2. Okay, my all right, gigabit 0/1. All right, that should be gigabit 0/1. Okay, IP address. Not shut down. All right, so it should be coming up and it should receive an IP address. Do show IP interface. Brief. Okay, it hasn't received it yet, but it's up and it should receive one anytime now. Let's see one more time. Okay, good. Took a little bit, but it took it. All right, so now we do have a IP address assigned to that interface. Fantastic. Okay, now that we have that taken care of, our router 2 is the server, the DHCP server for a LAN 10 or LAN 1 and router 3. So we're good here. We need to also go to router 1 and make that router a relay router. Okay, so we're going to enable that. Configure terminal, IP dynamic that would be for gigabit 0. Router 1, gigabit 00. Okay, IP. And since we are going to be the IP helper address we're gonna be performing relay here on this interface, then we need to specify the IP address of the server that is directly attached to us, right? So let me go ahead and see what we have. So I don't know why IP helper. So the one that we have attached to us, okay, is zero serial, okay. 10.1.1.2, that will be our address for the IP helper address, okay. And then the same thing over to router 3. So we're going to make it a relay on which interface is going to be working on. Same interface, gigabit 00. Helper address. To the 2. Alright. Now it should be able to receive a dynamic host address. Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. So 192.168.30.11. Let's go to the other PC. Okay, and we do have a address here that we receive dynamically. You can also do the same thing, ipconfig /all, so you can see the information we got from the dynamic host configuration protocol. We got the domain name. We also have the IP addresses. All right, very well, perfect. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope that this is helpful to you, and I'll see you on